Hi, my name's James Musetti here at the Colorado State University Gifford Building's kitchen, and today we are going to make crème brûlée, which means burnt cream in French. And we're starting out with a few simple ingredients today. We have cream, milk, sugar, eggs, and vanilla. And so this is a very, very simple dessert to make. It does take a little preparation time. It's something you want to make maybe earlier in the day to serve for dessert at dinner. It's going to require an oven, a whisk, spatula, some bowls, some measuring cups, and a small baking dish filled halfway up with water. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to combine 2 cups of cream and 2 cups of milk into a saucepan. And we're going to turn that on to medium heat, and we're going to bring it up to a scald. And what a scald means is basically when that thin film starts to form on top of the milk and the cream, and that's actually a little bit of the protein that's denaturing. And that's when we know our cream is hot enough and we can go ahead and remove it from the heat. If we were to bring this up to a boil, that would impart a little bit of a cooked flavor into our crème brûlée that is not very desirable for the flavor that we're looking for. So while that's heating up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to separate the eggs. We actually only need the egg yolks for this recipe. So for the egg whites, you could actually save those and make maybe egg white scramble or an egg white omelet the next morning to kind of feel a little bit better about eating this rich dessert. So in order to do that, I just kind of crack it on the table here. And I try to crack it right in half and let the egg white just come right out by kind of flip-flopping it from the shell to the shell. And just like that. Discard the eggshells. We're going to do that with 6 eggs. Just like so. So some nice variations you can do with this dish. This one just has vanilla, that is the flavoring in it, but you could also use white chocolate, vanilla. You could throw nuts in there, fresh berries, and bake them while we're baking. There's an infinite number of variations that you can make with this. And it's really fun, actually. We're using milk and cream, but if you have a dairy allergy, you could actually use just almond milk, soy milk, rice milk, any of those types of milks that are dairy-free. So you're not just limited to using dairy milk. Also, if you wanted to make it a little bit healthier, we're using a 50-50 ratio of cream to milk, but you could actually just use all milk if you wanted. It doesn't have to be whole milk. It can be skim milk or 2%. So you have a little bit of flexibility with the ingredients you're using here. Since we have that separated, we have our cream heated up. We're going to go ahead, we're going to add our egg yolks to the bowl. We're also going to add our cup of sugar to the bowl. And then we're going to whisk these together with the vanilla. And we're just going to add a slight teaspoon of vanilla in here. And when we whisk this together, we actually want to incorporate a little bit of air into the eggs and the sugar. And this helps to make a nice light texture while it's baking. So I kind of get it going, and then I kind of start taking the whisk and actually taking it out of the bowl as I kind of put it on an angle here. And you'll notice that your eggs start to turn a little bit of a lighter color, and that's how you know you're getting some air incorporated in there. Just want to mix that up so you get a little bit of air. We're all finished with that. And once our cream is heated up, we're going to actually go ahead and slowly, I'm going to put the towel underneath the bowl so the bowl doesn't spin around, because we're going to want to stir in the cream very slowly into the egg. We're only going to put a little bit at a time in here. And the reason for that is we don't want to actually cook the egg while we're pouring in the hot cream. That would curdle the egg and actually give us a very grainy texture of our crème brûlée. And it should have a very nice silky light texture, but yet a rich, rich flavor. So I'm just doing a little bit as I stir. And as we add more and more in here, it's bringing up the temperature. And this is called tempering. And the reason why we put the sugar in the egg yolk is actually to help this tempering process, because that sugar will absorb more of the heat than the egg yolk will. Once I get about half of it in there, I'm going to start a steady stream. I'm just going to mix it all in there. And the reason why I'm using the spatula instead of the whisk anymore is because I actually don't want to get any air into the mixture at this point, because the bubbles will actually form on top. And when we go to bake them, those bubbles will actually bake into the creme brulee, and you won't have a nice smooth surface to which to burn the cream on top of. Okay. So once we got that all mixed up, it should look nice like this. Notice no bubbles on top. We have a nice creamy filling. What I have here is a brownie pan that's filled up about halfway with water, and I have some creme brulee dishes. Now, you could use smaller ones. You could use dishes that maybe are a little more shallow and wider. Doesn't really matter. And I like to put them in the water first, so that after I fill them up, we don't have to worry about spilling them to put in the water. And then you also can make sure you have enough water in there. You want it to come up about halfway to 2/3 of the way. And this helps to cook the creme brulee evenly and keep the custard from curdling as well. So what I like to do is just kind of gently pour it in. Come right all the way up, almost to the tippy top. There we go. Okay, just like that. And we have our oven that's been preheated to about 325 degrees. You could go a little lower to 300. It'll just take maybe 5 or 10 minutes more. We're going to pop this right in the center of the oven. Not too close to the heating element at the bottom, not too far up top, and that way it'll cook nice and evenly. And this is going to take about an hour in the oven, but what I like to do is after about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, I like to start checking it every 10 minutes. And what you're going to look for is it to kind of start to get solid and congealed. And it will no longer, when you shake it, it will jiggle, kind of like Jell-O or pudding. And that's when you know it's done. And then you take it out and let it rest. And when it comes out of the oven, this is what it should look like. And so once it's cooled down, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take some extra sugar. We're going to pour that on the top. And we're going to burn the sugar on the top, caramelize it. And this is where the burnt cream part comes in. So I like to put a nice helping of sugar on top and then kind of pour a little bit off. Spread it around nice and good. And then also, I like to kind of wipe the sugar off the edges of the porcelain, because once you burn the sugar on there, you're going to have a very difficult time cleaning that off, so it's best to just take it off now. We have a torch here. You can buy these in any specialty kitchen store. A little butane. Turn on the torch. I like to just go around the edges first. Not too close. We just want to kind of start to caramelize and burn that sugar, but we want it brown, but we don't want to make it black. It shouldn't be smoking and on fire. Just caramelizing. So real nice and slow, not too close. And what this does is create a nice contrast in flavor and texture in the creme brulee. So you have this nice hard sugary caramelized crust, almost a little bit of a nutty flavor to it, and a really nice creamy silky interior. And that's it.